would you please rise for the processional?
Good evening. Welcome to the 2021 commencement for the University of Alabama School of Law. Tonight, we award 3 sets of degrees: the Juris Doctor, or JD, the Master of Laws, or LLM, and the Juris Master, or JM. Now, this is the most festive and joyous occasion in the life of an academic institution. It's a celebration of you, our students, who are the reasons that we, faculty, administrators, do what we do. It's a celebration of your achievement, and you're reaching a singular milestone. It's also a celebration of things to come, hence the word commencement. Today is doubly happy because it's not only the class of 2021 who are present this evening. Last year, as we approached the conclusion of the spring semester of 2020, which has a special name not to be mentioned in polite company, became clear that we could not safely host an in-person commencement ceremony for the class of 2020. So I committed at that time to include that class in this ceremony and to do double duty, and as I said, be doubly happy about being able to do it. Nothing can make up for the absence of an in-person ceremony last spring, but I'm pleased to welcome those members of the class of 2020 who are able to join us this evening. So if this is a time for celebration, it's also a time for reflection. And why don't you guys be seated? I missed my first line. Forgive me. It's a time of reflection. It's a time to reflect, especially on the multitude of things that have brought you here to this moment. Although the achievement that we celebrate this evening belongs to each of you as individuals, and nobody can take that achievement away from you. It's also undeniably a product of events, forces, currents, product also of people, countless numbers of people who helped to elevate you, your families, friends, teachers, and one another. Elevation comes from support, but truth told, it also comes from adversity, from what you learn about yourselves and about the world as you meet adversity, from the skills you acquire as you face rough waters, and from the sense of purpose that you can cultivate in meeting life's challenges. You, as a group, have the distinction of having faced two consequential collective challenges during your time in law school. You have not sought these challenges, who would have, but they have been thrust upon you, and the manner in which you are meeting them will mark indelibly you and your generation. The first is a palpable reckoning with the nation's continuing struggle with racial justice. To be sure, it's not a new problem. It is older than the nation itself, but it's risen with special urgency in our own time. If it's a continuing struggle, it's also profound because it ties the lives of persons to two elemental purposes of the Constitution: to establish justice and create a more perfect union. The second challenge is a global pandemic. And as you well know, it has affected how we teach and learn, how we participate in those aspects of life that meaningfully connect us with other human beings. Enduring it has been demanding. Each of you has had to face unique struggles this past year, and some have lost loved ones to the pandemic. But despite these obstacles, you have persevered, and in that you may take enormous pride. Both of these challenges illuminate the ways in which our professional and personal lives are inextricably tied, both the personal with the professional and our lives together. It also illuminates the ways in which we depend on one another for caring, for safety, for flourishing, sometimes even survival. The challenges illustrate also the ways in which law and a properly functioning system of ordered liberty can help promote the common good and help propel us toward a shared destiny. Now, you, as students and graduates, are indescribably talented and capable, and you have learned here much about the art and the craft of the profession of law. If I could wish anything for you, it would be not merely for success. It would be that you use your talents and the adversity that you've faced to make a difference in the lives of others. There's no single path for doing this, but as you choose and pursue your own path, I hope you'll make it one in which you not only do well, but also do good. Now, if you would, please stand for the national anthem to be sung by Abigail Williams of the University of Alabama's College of Arts and Sciences.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Let me, while I have a moment, recognize the string quartet who were with us for the processional into this occasion. Will Martin, Juan Lopez, Meredith Trester, and Laura Raymond. Thanks to all of them. Now it's my pleasure to invite to the podium Peyton Patterson, who was the Student Bar Association's president for the class of 2020. And she will welcome you, our gathered families, guests, on behalf of our students. Peyton.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to tonight's graduation ceremony. I would first like to welcome my classmates from the class of 2020. It is difficult to articulate the frustration we felt last year when our time together at Alabama Law came to such an abrupt end. However, I believe this frustration only affirmed how much our class really means to one another. So thank you for the friendships, laughter, encouragement, and memories that we have shared. Studying for the bar exam and entering the workforce in the middle of a pandemic is no small feat, and I admire each of your perseverance during this time. Tonight, we finally celebrate our graduation, as well as our successes from the past year. I would also like to welcome the class of 2021. On behalf of the class of 2020, thank you for sharing the stage with us tonight. While we cannot imagine what a full year of remote and socially distanced learning has looked like, you collectively and individually have taken on all of the challenges. You have each shown resilience and adaptability worthy of admiration, and we are confident that you will carry those traits with you into your legal careers. Tonight, we celebrate you, all of you reaching this incredible milestone. Next, I would like to welcome the professors, administrators, and staff members with us tonight. Alabama Law is such a special place, and that is true largely because of all of you. On behalf of all graduates, thank you for challenging us inside and outside of the classroom, believing in us when we questioned our abilities, and helping us grow as attorneys and future attorneys. Tonight, we celebrate you and the special community that you have each contributed to creating at Alabama Law. Finally, I would like to welcome all of our family members, friends, and partners in the audience tonight. On behalf of all graduates, Thank you for being our biggest cheerleaders, our support systems, and our first phone call after a challenging final exam. Despite Elle Wood's famous line from Legally Blonde, law school is extremely hard. Those of us in gowns and tams would not be here tonight if it were not for each of you. Tonight we celebrate you and the support that you have provided, as it has been integral to all of our successes. After the events of the past year, I am more grateful than ever for the opportunity to celebrate with each of you tonight. Graduates, in the wise words of one of my favorite Alabama law professors, always remember that you have the power and you are the law. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, Peyton. It's excellent to see you again. I'll now call on Mollie Gillis, who has served as president of the SBA for the current academic year, to offer reflections on behalf of the Student Bar Association. And I'll say parenthetically, you'll soon be hearing more about Mollie later, but for now, Mollie.
Thank you, Dean Brandon. Hi, everyone. I want to begin by saying how grateful I am that we're able to gather here in person to celebrate the accomplishments of UA Law graduates over the past 2 years. It is so refreshing for a tradition like this to return to each of our lives, and I'm happy to be able to celebrate with my fellow students, family, friends, and faculty. As Peyton said, we owe so much of our success to those who've supported us both inside and out of the classroom, and I want to thank all of you for the support, the phone calls I'm sure many family members received of stress over the past 3 years, and our class and the class of 2020 thanks you. At orientation, we were told that what comes of our reputations as lawyers begins today, on the first day of law school. Then, we were mostly strangers to each other, not sure what to make of each other quite yet. But we quickly made lasting relationships, and the adage from orientation turned out to be true. Many of the people who sit beside us will not only be our colleagues, but will be our lifelong friends. So although much of my time was spent in class or studying, for better or for worse, for my summer bar prep, that's not what I remember most about law school. Instead, I come into this final day remembering the good times I've spent with some of my best friends. And I feel especially lucky to have helped facilitate some of these memories and experiences through my role as SBA president. While learning about the law, we have also learned a great deal about ourselves. Many of us have settled into adulthood during law school and further decided what kind of person we want to be. We've decided how we will begin our careers as lawyers and how we will use our skills to serve those around us. Do not underestimate the importance of this moment or the magnitude of what lies ahead. Just like we came into orientation with somewhat of a blank slate, we now begin our careers as lawyers with new opportunity, responsibility, and passion. The past 3 years have equipped us for this journey, so let us be guided through it by our desire and ability to do good. Congratulations, everyone. We did it.
Thank you, Mollie, and thanks for your leadership this year. I can't let this moment pass without special recognition of 2 colleagues of mine, of ours, one of whom retired in the spring of 2020, the other of whom will retire at the conclusion of the current academic year. Professor Stephen Hobbs was appointed the Tom Bevel Chairholder of Law at the School of Law in 1997, a position that he held with distinction for 23 years. He was the first African-American scholar to hold a chaired appointment in the School of Law. He has taught and written on a diverse range of topics, from family law to children's rights, adoption law, professional responsibility, entrepreneurship, civil rights. His service to the law school has been exemplary. He was, for many years, faculty advisor to the Journal of the Legal Profession, and he served as member or chair of more committees than I can count, maybe that he himself can count. He's also served the legal profession through his work with the Association of American Law Schools and the National Conference of Bar Examiners. Professor Carol Rice Andrews is the Douglas Arendt Professor of Law. She joined the faculty here as an assistant professor in 1995. She retires after 26 years of unstinting service and unsurpassed excellence in teaching. She served for many years as the chair of the faculty committee for admissions, and through that role, she may well have played a small role in your being here today. She's been selected countless times as a member of the Hooding team. Most recent was her election to the Hooding team by the class of 2020. She has received the Outstanding Faculty Member Award in the law school. She has been the recipient of the university's award for outstanding commitment to teaching. She is one of the truly great teachers in the history of the law school. So Stephen, Carol could not be with us this evening, but to each of them in absentia, I wish them gratitude for their service, congratulations on their retirement. We will miss them. Valedictory address is a tradition at Alabama Law, and we will continue that tradition tonight in a slightly different way this year. It's my privilege to introduce two distinguished students to offer valedictory remarks to you this evening, one from the class of 2020 and one from the class of 2021. Rusty Shellhorn is valedictorian of the class of 2020. He came to the law school from Liberty Lake, Washington. And while here, he wrote 14 best papers. He was senior editor of the Alabama Law Review and is an elected member of the Order of the Coif. After his graduation, he began practicing law with the firm of Baker Botts in their Dallas, Texas office. Rusty, will you please come forward?
Good evening, everyone. Class of 2020. It is great to see you all again. I think it goes without saying that it has clearly been a long, strange year. I've missed you all, and I'm so glad to be back here in Tuscaloosa with you. In class of 21, congratulations. I look forward to no longer receiving your weekly texts asking for my outlines. So this speech, the valedictorian speech, to be honest, I had a hard time writing it. I couldn't really tell you what the hypothesized connection is between quietly being the biggest gunner in class and good at giving speeches to a large crowd. Because for those of you who don't know, I'm a corporate attorney now. I don't go to court. I don't make speeches. I sit in a nice office with a big comfy chair, and I draft contracts for a living. I also can't help but think about how fitting it is the last thing I'll do at law school has so many parallels with my first exam, fall of 1L year. There too, I was overly reliant on my notes, convinced I was going to fail, and so nervous I wanted to throw up. Now people ask me how I became valedictorian. They say, Rusty, you must be a genius. To which I respond, I don't think so. I just knew how to game the system. You see, I had one little trick. I did one very simple thing while in law school. I studied 12 hours a day, every day for 3 years straight. I gave it my social life, my friendships, my hobbies, social media, TV, sports, and drinking. I mean, anyone can do it, right? Okay, obviously I'm exaggerating. I did not give up all that for 3 years. I did not give up drinking. Anyway, I don't have any special wisdom to share with you. I likely will not have anything particularly motivating to say, but what I can say is this: look how far we've come. Do you remember what it was like being a 1L? I didn't have any gray hairs. I wasn't disturbed by the lack of due process in Harry Potter. I was absolutely scandalized when I learned in crim law that provocation is a partial defense to murder. Like murder. However, after 3 years of trying to free up space in my email inbox, I can see it. But now look at us. We're all grown up. Many of us have already gone on to do fantastic work in the legal community, initiate real change in the world, and promote better access to the legal system. And we had an incredible journey. We studied together, we created organizations together, we traveled together. We laughed and cried together, and we grew together. We became lifelong friends. Some of us met our significant others here. Some of us got married. Some of us had a baby. I had 2. In the end, I believe we raised the profile of Alabama law. And the propensity of our classmates to always support each other and treat each other with genuine kindness always made me very proud to attend this law school. Because if there's one thing that sets us apart from the graduates of any other law school, it's this: we are top-tier minds with a top-tier education, and most importantly, top-tier hearts. Now, we've all received a law degree from one of the best law schools in the nation, but we didn't get here on our own. We are indebted to everyone who supported us along the way. We are indebted to our families. We are indebted to our friends. We are indebted to this absolutely incredible faculty. We are indebted to the Career Services Office, the administrators, the librarians, the support staff. And of course, we are indebted to the United States Department of Education at 6.5% interest. And to everyone who was involved in our journey, we owe you a debt of gratitude, because these past 3 years were difficult. But if there is one thing I know about law students, it's that we made sure you all knew just how difficult. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not thank, from the bottom of my heart, my beautiful wife, Katie, for her unwavering love and support, including, but not limited to, paying our bills for 3 years, putting up with my stress and my unnecessarily intense study schedule, feeding me, watering me, and listening to my theory that secured transactions is actually a clever prank devised by professors to test whether you can analyze legal problems, despite the fact that the law appears to have been written by aliens. But seriously, you all don't know impressive until you met my wife, who, while I was in law school, worked full-time, cared for 2 children, 3 including me, and became the valedictorian in her own right at her grad school. And finally, to Dean Brandon and the faculty at Alabama Law, there is only one word: wow. Thank you for preparing us to go out into the world and giving us the tools we needed to have long, successful careers as attorneys. From Paul's graph to promissory estoppel to whatever the rule against perpetuity was all about, you facilitated our pursuit of knowledge and challenged us to be so much more than we thought we could be. Thank you. Class of 2020 and 21, for as much as we've complained about law school and the long sleepless nights, we've acquired so much. We've acquired the ability to think critically about difficult issues. We've acquired the ability to solve nearly any legal problem. We've acquired the ability to withstand an extraordinary amount of stress. We've acquired real skill sets and now have a real opportunity to place those into practice. And for the low price of $135, we've even acquired moral character from the National Conference of Bar Examiners. All kidding aside, we found something we're good at and a group of like-minded people to share it with. This is a diverse group of individuals with a variety of interests, backgrounds, and perspectives. Each of you brought something unique and extraordinary to that building across the parking lot. I am beyond proud to enter the legal profession alongside you. Fellow classmates, it has been a wonderful privilege to speak to you tonight, but the greater privilege has been spending 3 years with such an incredible, intelligent, and high-quality group of people. You all are going to do so much good in so many different ways. Please stay in touch. Email, text, add me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat. Until next time, congratulations, God bless, and roll tide.
Thanks, Rusty. Our custom is that the valedictory address is given by the student who occupies the highest rank in the graduating class. For the class of 2021, there were 2 students who were tied at the end of 5 semesters of study with grade point averages higher than 4.0. Those outstanding students are Alicia Gilbert and Mollie Gillis. Between Alicia and Mollie, they wrote 12 best papers. They also excelled outside the classroom. Mollie is from Hollis, New Hampshire, or New Hampshire. Served as president of the SBA, as you now know. She also held the position of managing editor of the Alabama Law Review and was a member of the Carol Andrews ABA National Moot Court Team. And her moot court team competed in the national championships this year and acquitted themselves famously. She's also, or was, a 2L moot court fellow. After graduation, she will clerk for the Honorable Kyle Duncan of the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. Following that clerkship, she will clerk with the Honorable Edward Carnes of the 11th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. Following those clerkships, she will join Maynard Cooper in Birmingham. Alicia Gilbert is from Arab, Alabama. She was an active member of the National Health Law Transactional Moot Court Team, which just a few weeks ago took first place in the national competition. She served as executive editor of the Alabama Law Review, and after graduation, she will begin a clerkship with the Honorable Patrick Higginbotham of the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals in San Antonio. Pursuant to a time-honored rule, Alicia will speak on behalf of the class of 2021. Alicia, will you please come forward?
Good evening. It's an honor to be speaking to you all, especially to my fellow classmates. About 3 years ago, I remember looking around a room at orientation at the faces of my new classmates. I remember Dean Brandon reading about our class's diversity, achievements, and experiences, and thinking how lucky I was to learn alongside such accomplished individuals. At that time, we were all strangers. But as I look around this room today, I see the faces of remarkable individuals who have become the closest of friends. Despite our differences, I think part of what has drawn us together is the rigor of what we've experienced over these past 3 years, this past year in particular. Pressure makes diamonds. This quote seems to have originated with General George Patton, but it also increased in fame in a Don Williams song. In a literal sense, it's true that diamond formation is not a fast or straightforward process, requiring high temperatures as well as a tremendous amount of pressure. In fact, the Earth's mantle is one of the only places where the pressure and temperature are high enough for diamonds to form. Diamonds are in part so strong and so precious due to these intense conditions. But this quote seems to hold meaning in a metaphorical sense as well. Many of us are completing one of the most challenging life chapters that we've had thus far. Law school is not only academically demanding, but it requires sacrifices. Many of us have made sacrifices within our families. We've made financial sacrifices, and we've all sacrificed our time, to name a few. Not to mention the host of difficulties that we've all experienced as a nation and a world over this past year. I can't put the challenges or the palpability of uncertainty that this last year brought into words. And as I wrote these remarks, I struggled between wanting to acknowledge the hardships that we all experienced to varying degrees over this past year and not wanting to give more time to those hardships that robbed us all of celebratory moments. So while I will not attempt to divulge meaning from those difficulties, I did want to acknowledge that despite those moments where our circumstances seemed insurmountable, we persisted day by day. And we're now living a day that I'm sure many of us thought we would never get to. So I hope each of you feels tremendously proud to have made it to this day. But it's not just our persistence during pressure that's allowed us to be here today. Graduates, I'd like for you to take a moment to just look around this room. We've made it to this day because of the support of our families, our classmates, our teachers, all of the members of the law school staff, and our friends. Every person in this room, watching at home, or who is here in spirit, persisted through this pressure too, to support you. Your roommate who listened to your moot court argument just one more time, that professor who always had an open door policy, your family member who always made you feel loved from afar, or a law school staff member who went out of their way to check on you during a particularly difficult season. So as we close this chapter and start a new one, I hope we all remember each person that supported us along the way. We now have an opportunity to not only continue to invest in those existing relationships, but we also have a chance to reciprocate the support we received in new relationships to come. Next, I hope we allow the good things that happened to us over these past 3 years and the knowledge that we've gained to motivate us to put good back out wherever we go. And finally, I hope we remember, while some of us may have started this chapter as strangers, we all leave as friends. No matter where we find ourselves in this next chapter, we will have the friendships we developed over these past 3 years. These relationships will help us thrive in the new pressures that this next chapter may bring. Because pressure makes diamonds, but it's the people who allow us to weather the harsh conditions. Class of 2021 and 2020, congratulations, thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Well done. It's now a pleasure and a distinct honor to introduce our keynote speaker. The Honorable John H. England, Jr. was born in Uniontown, Alabama. He attended public schools in Birmingham, which was then one of the most segregated cities in the country. He graduated from Coleman High School in a fraught time in the city's history and the history of the nation. That time and his experiences during that time helped to forge his sense of purpose, his drive, his ability to keep his balance in the face of massive headwinds and cross-currents. Now, it's frequently said of persons who achieve greatness that they have stood on the shoulders of giants, and two of the giants in Judge England's life were his parents. His mother worked at a restaurant for much of her adult life. His father worked in a steel mill. And between them, they provided John Jr. with a sense of self and the fiber to succeed in a world that was organized in ways to make it difficult for a black man or woman to succeed. But succeed he did. Went to Tuskegee Institute for college, where he graduated with a degree in chemistry in 1969. After college, he followed his purpose, seeking a path in law. He applied to the University of Alabama School of Law, was admitted to study here, and matriculated among the first African-American students in the history of the law school. I would like to say that the school of law that Judge England attended was, to borrow from Voltaire, the best of all possible worlds, but it was not. Like the university of that day, like the state, like much of the nation, the law school was not a uniformly welcoming place, and surviving, frankly, was not a given. For that judge, On behalf of the law school, I extend profound apology. By the end of his first year in law school, as if law school weren't enough, he was drafted into the Army. He served 2 years in the military police in Vietnam. When he returned to the U.S., he returned also to law school at Alabama. Judge England was determined to complete his studies. I do not know what his personal and professional ambitions were, those ambitions that he held in his heart by the time he graduated. But whatever was driving him, his parents, soldiers in the civil rights movement, the special spark that ignites the individual soul. He not only graduated in 1974, but he charted a path of greatness in the law. Consider that path. After law school, he commenced the practice of law in Tuscaloosa. By 1985, he was elected to the Tuscaloosa City Council, where he was chair of the Finance and Community Development Committee. In 1993, he was appointed by Governor Jim Folsom Jr. to be a circuit judge for Tuscaloosa County. The following year, he was elected to a full term. He was then appointed to the Supreme Court of Alabama, where he served as Associate Justice from 1999 to 2001. He returned to Tuscaloosa, was reelected to Circuit Court, reelected again. While serving on the bench, Judge England served in other ways as well. Time doesn't permit me to recite comprehensively all of his contributions, but let me mention just a few of his professional achievements. Member of the prestigious Inns of Court, member of the Alabama Lawyers Association, of which he was president, the Alabama Circuit Judges Association, of which he was president, Alabama Judicial Council, of which he again served as president. And since 1998, he served as a member of the Board of Trustees of the University of Alabama system. And in partial recognition of that service, a residential hall of the university was recently dedicated, the John England Jr. Hall. Judge England is the father of 3, all of whom are pursuing paths in the law, following their dad. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Judge John England Jr.
Don't worry about it, I'm going to take the mask down. Dean Brandon, I appreciate your words. I have never been introduced in the manner in which the dean introduced me, and it had an impact on me, quite frankly. So I'll say, when the dean asked me about speaking, I first thought he had to have been talking about my son. You know, my son is John H. England III, who is a magistrate judge in Birmingham. And in my opinion, of course, I'm biased, an outstanding speaker. That's my son. I call him Judge England, but he understands that I'm the real Judge England. So when he made it clear to me that he wanted me to talk, I basically, in my own mind, decided that if I mess up, it's his fault. He shouldn't have asked me. And I say mess up because I've spent 28 years on the bench, and I've heard a lot of arguments. I've been talked to by a number of lawyers and their clients, but I've never felt on trial like I feel at this moment. And what I'm saying is, I know I'm talking to a bunch of brilliant, soon-to-be practicing lawyers, and some from the year 2020 who've already done it for a year. And then I'm talking to a number of family members, many of whom are lawyers. And so I'm used to passing judgment on what they got to say to me, not what I say to them. So I figured this out. And what I figured out was, number one, I'm going to be very short. Got that one down. Number two, I decided, I've had 3 children who finished law school here. 3. And so I said, well, children, tell me what you would say to a class of graduates from law school. And guess what? They did. And so here's my speech right here. What they wrote for me. And I'm going to share that with you because there's a bonus in it. And the bonus is, not only did my 3 children, and believe me, any audience or group that I'm a part of, at some point, I'm going to tell them about my children. I'm going to figure out a way to talk about them. But then, after my 3 children went, my niece also came and graduated from the University of Alabama Law School. So, I've done this quite a few times. That's 4 graduations that I've attended where my child or my niece was a member of the class. And then I've had many friends whose children have come and I've attended those graduations, and friends who have been the keynote speaker. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be asked to give this talk. So I can get through, because I know why we're all here. And it's not to hear me. It is to give diplomas, well-earned diplomas, to members of the class of 2020 and 2021. So, from my niece, Joy McCampbell, she said, and she's a member of management at Alabama Power Company. She says, there's no right or wrong way to use your law degree, but having it will always be beneficial, whether you go to work at a large firm, hang your own shingle, or do something totally different. Your law degree will be an asset. Use your law degree as a tool to help make the path you choose. Pretty good. She then figured that, given the fact that she was essentially part of management or in-house, that she'd give this advice. If you go in-house, make all the connections you can outside of legal. Learn all that you can about what you truly make the company run. Because one day you may want to change departments or you may want to run the company. And finally, and this I thought was very interesting, know that your first job out of school will not define your career. Also know that after that first job, nobody really cares what your GPA was. Thought that was pretty good. I tell her that she got standing ovation. She got applause for that. But I'm not done yet. Now, one of my children, April, is now a civil rights lawyer. And I love to recall my daughter, April, because I remember back in 1999 when I was politicking for office in the state of Alabama. One of my supporters who attended the graduation said, "Well, Judge, guess what?" I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I just saw your daughter marching in a graduation, and she gave the Black Power sign. And so that does not help you in your political campaign. You know that, don't you?" I say, "Well, yes, but I love my daughter. What else can you say?" April says, "Practicing law will have its ebbs and flows. You will love it at times and hate it at other times. Always remember the why, which is why you're serving. As the years progress, you will weather each season. Always let how you want to be treated, informed and represented, be what guides your treatment towards your clients. Usually that will keep you respectful and accountable to your client. With any new profession, mistakes will be made. Just don't make them again and again." And of course, the judge, that is that other Judge England, says, "Value integrity, maintain balance, priorities, and perspective. Faith, family, friends, and taking care of yourself is important." And he signed it, John H. England III. Build personal relationships. Get involved. Do pro bono. Find a mentor. That's the judge. And then finally, my youngest, my baby, the legislator. Here's what he said: "Don't be a jerk." To the parents, family members, I know how you feel. I've been there and I felt it. And you should feel that way. To the graduates, we expect you to lead us to be better than we are. And just looking at you, I see it in you. And finally, to the faculty, I used to know a bunch of faculty folk, but I don't know so many of you now. And maybe it's because some of you that I know don't have hair or it's a different color. I don't know. But the point that I'm saying simply to you is thank you. And Dean, thank you for letting me say these words. And I'm going to my seat right now.
Thank you, Judge. We shall now confer the Juris Master's degree, after which we'll confer the Master of Laws degree, after which we will confer the Juris Doctor degree. First, the Juris Master. We have one graduate who I think is here tonight. Would you please stand? That is an excuse. in absentia, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of Alabama System and is recommended and approved by the Faculty of Law at Alabama, I hereby confer on our graduate the degree of Juris Master with all the rights, responsibilities, privileges, and duties thereof. And I hope health follows swiftly. Would the candidates for the Master of Laws degree, the LLM degree, please stand. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of Alabama and is recommended and approved by the Alabama Law Faculty, I hereby confer upon each of you the Master of Laws degree with all of the rights, responsibilities, privileges, and duties thereof. You may move your tassel to the left. Congratulations. Be seated. Now, will the Juris Doctor graduates from the class of 2020 please stand? By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of Alabama and is recommended and approved by the Alabama Law Faculty, I hereby confer upon each of you the Juris Doctor degree with all of its rights, responsibilities, privileges, and duties. Tassels left, belated congratulations. Please be seated. Finally, will all of the candidates for the Juris Doctor degree for the class of 2021 please stand? By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of Alabama and as recommended and approved by the Alabama Law Faculty, I confer upon each of you the Juris Doctor degree with all of its rights, responsibilities, privileges, and duties. Tassels left, congratulations. You may be seated. Now, among the innovations that the pandemic has brought to our ceremony today, I should note one change to our processional. A meaningful traditional part of commencement's past has been the hooding of each of our graduates. Members of the graduating class have elected members of the faculty to serve on a hooding team, and those faculty have placed hoods over the shoulders of graduates to complete their graduate regalia. We are, under regulations of the university, unable to physically place the hood on your shoulders this year. Still, we have asked the hooding teams to participate in this year's ceremony by reciting the names of individual graduates as you proceed across the stage. And I know that they will do so with great pride in your accomplishments. Another new element this year is that we have a photographer who is prepared to take an individual photo of each of you as you walk across the stage. So when you come across and you get to stage right, you will see 2 footprints on the stage. If you want your photo taken, stop. Look forward. Mask off. Smile. And you're golden. If you don't want your photo taken, you have some explaining to do to your family and friends. As you leave the stage, I'm charged to tell you on behalf of the university, you have 2 options. You may quietly exit from the ceremony and meet invited guests outside the Coliseum. That, of course, I'm obliged to tell you, is to ensure that crowds don't form on the floor or in the doorways. But the second option is to return to your seat and watch with pride as the remainder of the ceremony unfolds and your classmates process. For those who choose this option, we'll have a special procedure for leaving the venue at the end of the ceremony. Marshals, please begin the procession.
Rebecca Rose Latonsky will be receiving the LLM in taxation. Nicole Beverly Smith will be receiving the International LLM. Mardilia Hossa de Oliveira Larda will be receiving the International LLM. Abdulaziz Mohammed O. Aladrisi will be receiving the Doctor of Judicial Science.
And now the members of the class of 2020. Rusty George Shellhorn. Rusty will be receiving the Harrison Award. Cade McGavin Brown, also receiving the Harrison Award. Ann Miles Wilkerson Golson, also receiving the Harrison Award. Jeffrey G. Rogers, receiving the Harrison Award. Peyton Elizabeth Patterson. Catherine America Tabor. Alexandra Olivia Priester, receiving the Order of the Samaritan for Public Interest Certificate and her JD LLM in Taxation. Jamie Page Smith Kisla, She's receiving the Order of the Samaritan and a Public Interest Certificate. Jason Daniel Connell, Order of the Samaritan and the Public Interest Certificate. Amanda Vita Connell, receiving the Order of the Samaritan and the Public Interest Certificate. Chantel P. Stewart, Order of the Samaritan and recipient of the Public Interest Certificate. Stephanie Henderson Avant, also receiving the Order of the Samaritan and the Public Interest Certificate. Maya Christian Hoyt, also receiving the Order of the Samaritan and Public Interest Certificate. Carmen Elise Gaines. Alexandra Teresa Williams. Alex is also receiving the Public Interest Certificate. Rebecca Whitley. Atticus William DeProspo. Maisie Rose Bryant. Margaret Ames Filippini. Sydney K. Brassfield. Emily Catherine McKee. Adam Jacob Wicker. William Anthony Stoll. Michael Carl Madden, Jr. Michael's receiving his JD MBA. Andy Crowder. Benjamin Cooper Bowles. Margaret R. Browning. Anna Carol Marie Arnold. Anna Carroll's receiving the Public Interest Certificate. Chase A. Arnold, also receiving the Public Interest Certificate. Brian H. Patterson, Jr.
And now the class of 2021, Alicia Renee Traylor Gilbert, receiving the Harrison Award. Kimberly Michelle Williamson, receiving the Harrison Award. Joseph Barnello, Harrison Award. John William Gillespie, receiving the Harrison Award. Mollie Elizabeth Gillis, receiving the Harrison Award. George B. Peterman, receiving the Harrison Award. Jarrett S. Roman, receiving the Order of the Samaritan. Jennifer Renee Sandlin, receiving the Order of the Samaritan. Mindy Kidd, receiving the Order of the Samaritan.
Alana Kalhili Kamak, Order of the Samaritan Public Interest Certificate. Clarissa Leanne Johnson, Order of the Samaritan, Public Interest Certificate. Tyler N. Smoot, Order of the Samaritan, Public Interest Certificate. Jean-Claude G. Godden, Order of the Samaritan. Chanel Marie Jones, Order of the Samaritan, Public Interest Certificate. Emily Madison Ard, Order of the Samaritan, Public Interest Certificate. Josephine Noel Rickus, Order of the Samaritan. Jessica Haley Pope, Order of the Samaritan. Jordan Shea Shelton, Order of the Samaritan. Sarah Alexis Anderson, Order of the Samaritan, Public Interest Certificate. Michael James Myrtle, JD LLM and Business Transactions, Order of the Samaritan.
Stacy Dawn Puckett, Order of the Samaritan and Public Interest Certificate. Lita Melinda Wagner, Order of the Samaritan and Governmental Affairs Certificate. Kaustubh Udupi, Order of the Samaritan. Scott A. Sloss, Order of the Samaritan and Public Interest Certificate. Thomas Frederick Sixtus, Order of the Samaritan. Crawford James McCullers. E.J. Harold IV.
Sierra Simone Berkmeyer, JD, LLM in Business Transactions. Wabundo Ikuni Ezeamaka Jennifer Anwa. Danielle Karam, JD, LLM in Taxation. Kennedy Jasmine Elizabeth Fye, Order of the Samaritan. Madison Elizabeth Tucker. Jillian Nicole Purser.
Allison Elizabeth Miller. Anna Grace Freeman. David Nikolich. Gavin Anthony Baum Blake. William Wild January the 6th, JD LLM in Taxation. Alec Hayden Cartwright. Tyler Logan Adams. William Henry Burris. Stephanie A. Marrero. Nancy Grayson Klein. Ian Christian Burt. Lydia Jane Kucera. Jonathan Justice Brown, JD LLM in Business Transactions. Samuel K. Cullen, JD LLM in Business Transactions.
Kanita Danielle Keller. Michelle Danielle Dennis. Connor Vale Lunny. Sarah Rose Goldenberg. Logan James Moore. Brooks L. Mason. Rachel A. Mason. Gabriella Elaine Jeter. Kevin Ryan Dartard. Reeve Wilson Shoemake. John Chancellor Lott, JD LLM in Business Transactions and Governmental Affairs Certificate. Clifford Zane Stafford, Governmental Affairs Certificate.
Ryan Stanley Golden. Daniel James Chisholm, Governmental Affairs Certificate. Peyton M. Guest. Thomas Hunter Harden. Joey Wirtus. Brian Wesley Donald. Grant Evans Reese. Robert Andrew Yarbrough. John Owen Morrison. Daniel Quentin Atkinson. Rachel Michelle England.
Will A. Ellis. Ashley Michelle Herring. Blaine S. Roberts. Katarina Jennifer Anderson. Mark M. Ogren. Joseph David Parsons. Zachary D. Starr, JD and LLM in Taxation. Emily Celia Sheaver. Jason A. Proctor, JD and LLM in Taxation. Anne Elizabeth Poe, Public Interest Certificate.
Aaliyah B. Lewis. Rachel E. Goodman. Jacqueline Therese Elder. Natalie Laurel Pugh. Tyler Warren Thull. Alden E. Claros. Oliver Leon Robinson III, JD, MBA. John Howard Berry, Public Interest Certificate. Trenton Barber Weiss. Robert L. Humphrey III. Ethan Hunter Calhoun.
William Jackson Baker. Benton Connell Hughes. Ian Reed Ross, Public Interest Certificate. William D. Tutt. Catherine Elizabeth Milling. Tatum L. Jackson. Caitlin Elizabeth Cobb.
Anna Rose Marcroft. Kristen Dawn Martin. Caroline Grace Duncan. Carter William Pollock. Sheena Y. Allen. Aaron C. Hall.
We will now read the names of the 2021 graduates who cannot be with us in person tonight. If you would just hold your applause to the end, that would be great. Joseph Preston Amberger, Mac Brian Barnhill IV, LLM in Taxation, Sean Gavin Bedore, Catherine Francis Coeman, LLM in Taxation, Kelsey Autumn Finn, JD and LLM in Business Transactions, Charles R. Frazier, LLM in Taxation, Sarah Scogan Johnston, LLM in Taxation. Kai Robert Johnson. Michelle Jasmina Hudecourt. Derek Loving.
John S. Mazur, LLM in Taxation. John Malcolm McMichael, LLM in Taxation. Caligaro Secretario Nocera, LLM in Taxation. Benjamin Matthew Cease. Alan Joshua Slater, Order of the Samaritan. Luke Benjamin Smith, LLM in Taxation. Gabrielle Ann Sprio. David A. Thompson, LLM in Taxation. Austin Francis Tullos, Masters in Taxation. Alyssa Ann Tyler. Adrian Elise Wallace, Order of the Samaritan, Public Interest Certificate. Kent Paul Woods, LLM in Taxation. Ryan D. Wells.
Please join me in recognizing and celebrating all of our graduates in the class of 2020 and the class of 2021. And now, to reduce the risk of crowding as we exit, let me ask among the graduates, if your surname begins with A through L, you may exit now. The rest of you, please stay seated, and then we'll dismiss you. And now the rest of you may leave to join your guests outside. Congratulations.